And we have this notion that Africa is for blacks. So if you're not black in Africa, you cannot claim ownership of land because you're not an indigenous person of Africa. So that's where I will come back and say, maybe people are right to say Africa is for Africans, which means blacks. Or maybe when we say...
coming back to Drickus, I think Africa is for Drickus too, and his family, and his children, and his community. Even the people on Oranje who deny that they're African, it's for them, they're born here, this is their soil, their land, their ancestors. The Afrikaans people also, remember, they were also subject to colonialism.
Yeah.
In fact, the first people who were subject to a concentration camp were the Afrikaans people in 1899.
Okay.
The British enslaved, they put them in concentration camps, men, women, children, and they tortured them and they murdered them. That's where the Nazis got that idea from. They got that idea from the British, what they did to the Afrikaans people.
Okay.
So for anybody to say that a white Afrikaans person's blood hasn't been spilled on this soil, that they are African, I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right.
I think it is our duty now to educate people out there that an African does not mean someone's skin color.
Yes. It is an emotional connection. And it is, it helps if you're born here. But somebody who's never set foot in Africa, who comes from America or the Caribbean, and their heart is here. Look at Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
After he did the Chappelle show, he needed a break from the mental thing that he was under.
Okay.
He came home. He came to Africa to clear his head. He came to what he considered the motherland. However much or how little he knew about the history and the politics, I don't know how much Dave Chappelle knows or doesn't know. Okay. But the point is there was that connection, that there was that feeling that he belongs here. And anybody who feels that they belong here, that they have an interest in building Africa, I consider them an African. I may be wrong, or somebody else may have a different opinion.
I think that's my same opinion, that Africa is not determined by the skin color, or by geographical location.
Because I would resent not being called an African.
Okay, yeah.
I'm an African. What am I? I'm not an American. I'm not South American. I'm not European. I'm an African.
Yeah.
And Thabo Mbeki, his most famous speech, is his greatest contribution to the discourse. One of the greatest contributions to the discourse of any African politician is Thabo Mbeki's "I am an African" speech. Okay. Because it really resonated with people across the lines of nation, culture, creed, and language. It spoke to a broad section of people, and the results showed, because Thabo Mbeki, as the president of South Africa, he achieved, I think he got 70% of the vote, the ANC under Thabo Mbeki. And you can't do, now we look at the ANC, that 40%. You can't connect with people, Africans, unless you include them in your analysis and your view of history and politics and the story of Africa, unless you are honest and inclusive and redefining what it means to be an African beyond what you can see in the skin of another man or woman.
Okay, I think I'm gonna.